Good evening, everyone. Want to welcome you to our town hall meeting for Golf Brevard, Inc. With Habitat and Spencer Holland. We want to thank all of you that are tuning in tonight. Our guest tonight and our chairman of Golf Brevard is Steve Proctor, and Steve has graciously came over to talk a little bit about what's happening at Golf Brevard at two courses, Habitat and Spencer. And first of all, we want to send out a couple big thank yous to everybody for their support and their participation over the last 2 years. We had our second anniversary September 1st of this year. And on a personal note, I would like to thank the board and for all their efforts and to get us going 2.5 years ago, and also the staff. We've got Gary's here in the background here at Habitat with Greg, and Mark is also here from Spencer, and also Caleb for doing all this stuff that he's been doing for marketing and everything for us for the two properties. It's been very fulfilling, and it's been my privilege to be a part of it. And I also want to just thank everyone for the support, my family, my wife, Kay, my sisters, all the things that they've done and sacrificed, my 3 boys. And it's been really exciting to be a part of. And I know Steve will probably talk a little bit about that. Another couple thank yous to Jamie Baker, our head superintendent, at the two properties with Dan Loveridge over at the beach at Spencer. They've done a phenomenal job. I think we'd all agree. We were out today at Spencer, Jamie and Dan and I were looking around at what our potential future things that we'd like to do at both properties a little bit. And they have really given their time and effort along with their staff. And I know I have said that over a period of time of emails and things, but it's pretty great to see a great team come together, everybody with one goal, and that is to keep the golf courses up and running in a high quality experience, hopefully, that you all are getting when you come out to see us. This will also be played again later. You can go to brevard.golf and you can pick up our website, and it'll be on Facebook if you'd like to look at this down the road. And but again, thank you for all of you and your support, the county's support, and moving forward, turn it over to Steve, and he can give a few updates moving forward.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mike, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. Just the end of every year, as our fiscal year draws to a close, we like to update our golfers on how things are going with Golf Brevard. And in a moment, I'll get to that. But I wanted to start by acknowledging our founder, Tom Becker, who he was the one who originally had the idea that these two courses could be kept open by a nonprofit corporation like Golf Brevard. And he marshaled all the forces to get this accomplished and worked our way through the political system to get the contract with the county that we now enjoy. Tom's period as the chairman of the board ended in July, and I have succeeded him. But no golfer in Brevard County should ever forget that Tom Becker is the person who spearheaded this effort and who made it work, and we're all very grateful for that. Also like to acknowledge the current members of the board. Jim Craven is the first vice chair, and then we also have on the board Bill Crudo, our longest serving member, Jeff Pierce, Dick Dunn, Amy Gregory, and Scott McLaughlin. And we make a very solid team, and we're very happy working together. So now let's get to how things have gone for Golf Brevard. I know that this has been an incredibly difficult and upsetting year for everyone in the face of this global pandemic, but it is a curious thing that can happen in any disaster. And in almost any catastrophe, there are some people who wind up benefiting by virtue of repairing roofs in a hurricane or whatever. Golf Brevard, as it happens, is one of those organizations that has benefited, golf generally speaking. During the course of this pandemic, there's been a worldwide surge in the amount of golf rounds, not just the United States, but in Britain, Australia, and all over the world. People have started to rediscover the beauty of doing their exercise out of doors rather than in a gymnasium or someplace else. And of course, it's much safer in a time like this when it's so much easier to transmit the virus indoors. So Golf Brevard has seen a tremendous surge in rounds over this year. even after our first year, the rounds increased very dramatically at both courses. But this year, as the year draws to a close, we've seen an increase approaching 15,000 total rounds, which is a staggering number, and of course has brought with it a great deal of financial reward, for which we have to thank Mike and his staff and all of you golfers who have worked so hard with us to keep the golf course, follow the CDC guidelines, social distance, pay your money in a safe way for your league, and do all of these things to help us keep the courses operating in a way that is safe and allows everybody to enjoy their outdoor entertainment. So we're very grateful to all of you who have shown so much cooperation during this period of time, and also for your loyalty in playing the courses. We've had a great surge in revenue this year that matches the rounds, of course, and that is one of our key goals has always been to establish financial security for the golf course. Because once we have financial security for the golf course, it makes it possible for us to meet our other two goals, which are to be able to continuously improve the condition of the course itself and all of its facilities, and secondly, to keep the price of golf in Brevard County affordable. Those three things constitute the simple mission of Golf Brevard: financial security, affordable golf, wonderful, constantly improving facilities. We've been able to do that this year, in making great improvements in the quality of the greenkeeping, getting all of our own equipment, and so forth and so on. And yet, in spite of that, we will still be making a substantial early payment to the county toward our debt with them. Our contract with the county requires that if at any time we have a certain amount of money in excess of a certain level in liquid cash reserves, then the remainder of that money would be paid to the county until it's paid off. We owe the county just a little shy of $400,000 from what they lent us as startup capital, and we will be very, very proud indeed to make a substantial payment on that a year before it's even due, suggesting that the experiment has worked quite a lot better than even the most optimistic person like myself or Tom would have dreamed. So we're very grateful for that, and we really feel that we are positioned for a bright future. We are in the process of trying to figure out how we can then extend our contract with the county over a longer period of time, and also our lease with our neighbor here at the Habitat, from where we're speaking, the airport. So once we get those two things accomplished, we'll be in a position then to make much more substantial investments in the golf course with the confidence that we have longer term arrangements. All these bright and cheerful things said, it needs to be acknowledged that the golf courses, when we took them over, and it was understood by both parties, had substantial unattended to maintenance needs that go back many years. And as we go into the next phase of this, we will be confronting some very, very significant challenges financially in terms of addressing those issues, one of which is the aging irrigation system at the Habitat, which seriously needs to be upgraded to a modern standard, and that will be a very expensive undertaking when we're in a position to do it. And obviously we're having paid the county off early, which we expect we will be able to do longer term, will help us to do that, and extending our contract with the airport and with the county will put us in a position to borrow the money that is required to make these changes and improvements with some confidence in the future. So we still have a lot of challenges ahead, but we've gotten much, much farther in the first 2 years than we ever dreamed we would, and we are very, very happy about where things are, and we feel very secure about the future of public golf in Brevard County, which has been our sole and only goal: preserve affordable public golf for you in Brevard County and for all of us. So thank you for everything you've done to help us reach that, and we are happy to take any questions you may have.
Well, we'll check with Caleb and see if anybody has sent anything in. A couple things that you might notice at the two properties, just why he's looking that up right now at the moment. We have our Folds of Honor event that we have where you can buy a $10 ticket for, we're going to have a helicopter drop after the event November 7th at Spessart. And our goal last year was to double our money, in which we did. We raised $20,000 for the Folds of Honor. And this year we're wanting to try to double that. And we've got a great response We have the two boards at both properties, and if you're interested, we got to get Habitat to pick up the pace a little bit to catch up to Spessard right now. So, and there'll be more information coming out. Kayla will send that out soon. So, just want to throw that in there. I want to thank Bruce Black for putting the helicopter drop together. Gary Branch, Bill Dickinson, Ron Hall, all the crew over at Spessard that are very passionate about that event. And if you have any military in your family in the background, you know how important that is. And we're excited to be part of it. And that's a very important part of what we want to do in the community, be part of that. So, Caleb, if we got anything popped in yet?
Mike, I'd just like to build on what you said there about the Folds of Honor. I think as Golf Brevard, speaking on behalf of Golf Brevard, one of our proudest accomplishments is what we have done on behalf of the Folds of Honor over the years at Spessard Highland. And Golf Brevard has always been a contributor and will continue to be a contributor to that effort. And I encourage all of you who can afford to make a contribution to do so. We've gotten national recognition for the amount of money we've raised as a relatively small operation for the Folds of Honor. I think last year we were in the upper 25 percentile of all courses that participated in the Folds of Honor. And you know, Bill Dickinson and Gary Branch and his crew, Ron Hall and all them, have a great deal to do with that. But so do all of the people who support Golf Brevard. And I encourage every member of the board and every member of the Spessard and Habitat communities to contribute to this. It's a tremendously worthwhile effort. My own brother served in the Navy. My grandfather was killed in the First World War. So I have a great feeling about the Folds of Honor and a great dedication to it, along with all the crew at Spessard where I have played most of my golf. So we're very proud of that, and we'd like you to join us.
Moving forward, a couple of things that we did talk about earlier. Right now, from last September through August, Habitat is up to 45,000 rounds, actually 45,150, and Spessard is up to 39,526, and that's a direct result, I believe, in obviously the quality of the golf course is improving, and just the tremendous support, again, that everybody has shown at the two properties. So those numbers are historic, especially for this time of year moving forward. And again, it's a testament to the staff and the effort that they put into getting courses in the condition that we expect them to be in, and we really couldn't ask for much more. A couple of things that we will be doing probably November, December time frame. We're going to try putting a single tee marker out on the tees. We have figured that it costs or takes about an hour of time for one of the staff members to pull the markers off the tees, put them back on when we mow. So we're going to try a little experiment and see how that goes. There's a lot of courses in Florida that are going to that. We'll send some more information out moving forward on that when we do it. We're going to go back to our flags on the greens for red, white, and blue for front, middle, and back. So we're going to get rid of the checkered flags so they're a little easier to see that way. I know that'll probably make a few of the folks happy. The cart traffic, obviously when we've been in the single carts, we've rented about 44 extra golf carts this summer. I know a lot of the courses have, and not to pick on them a little bit, but we have not raised our rates for that because of the single cart. We haven't added a fee onto that because we didn't want to be in that situation where we were trying to make a few extra bucks. So we kept the rate the same whether you drove the cart with the family member or not. We know Florida's back to 2 in a cart if you ride in a car together or your friends and family. But you're still welcome to take the single cart. Obviously, that's been a tremendous expense for the last 6 months for us. Sand buckets, we're going to start putting sand buckets back on the carts. Jamie has asked me if we could do that, and I said yes, and we'll sanitize the scoop after every round. Just some things that we're going to continue to do. We won't put any water coolers or anything out on the course until further notice. So we want to make sure with the heat, it is starting to cool off a little bit. There's a lot of things that go in, and Gary has been kind of on me about bringing some of this stuff up that a lot of you don't see, and when Mark and I and Caleb did the part about the airification, I get some great comments and a lot of people coming up and asking me, well, we really didn't realize all the effort that went into doing that. The infrastructure of obviously the irrigation system that Steve talked about, the electrical in the ground, the hydraulic lines, if we hit it with a mower, the sprinklers, all the different things, the drainage, the bunkers that it takes to obviously make the golf course look more presentable when it comes to aesthetics and all those things. So, those are things that we will continue to plan and go forward, like you mentioned earlier, from the financial part of it. The guys start in the morning at both properties, anywhere from 4:30 to 5 in the morning. They're out mowing fairways. We try to get the fairways done before light. And Peter and the guys are on the back nine. So I know Steve has run into them on the back nine every once in a while. So it looks like we have a question.
Any possible date that irrigation work at Habitat might start, even if it's just a rough estimate?
Well, we wouldn't be able to begin that until we had an extension of the airport lease and the county contract, because to do that is probably somewhere on the order of $1 million proposition to do the entire golf course. So you wouldn't want to make an investment of that nature unless you had an extended contract. So we're working toward getting, the contract. We're technically under the contract. It's one more year before we're in a position to ask for an extension of it. So we will not probably be able to get an extension of it until the end of our current contract. Once we get that in place and the airport lease is secure, we will come up with a plan for doing it. It's likely that we will want, for financial reasons, to do it not all at once, but in sections, maybe 9 holes at a time, so that 9 holes one year, 9 holes the next year, or something of that nature, depending on what's feasible. But to sort of absorb the cost over a longer period of time. But a lot of things would have to be looked at there and discussed by the board in terms of what are the most advantageous financial arrangements and so forth.
Definitely a long-range plan down the road.
So it's not something that we'll be able to get to probably immediately, but unless of course there's an emergency. And if there's an emergency failure, then that's a different set of circumstances, and we would address those. So you would. That's something for the future. But I was pointing it out merely, number one, because it's a pressing need, and number two, because even though we're doing really well right now, there are still some pretty big hills to climb after this. That being one of it. And of course, at some point in the future too, the greens at Spessard Holland ought to be taken up and done over. They're very old. There's a fair amount of paspalum intrusion on those greens, and that's not as expensive as an irrigation system, but it's awfully expensive as well. So all those kinds of things loom in the future, which is fine. It's just that's the challenge you have, and we're very, very fortunate to feel as if we're positioned financially to be able to approach those things with some security in the not too distant future.
Well, that sounds great. Obviously, we want to have a long-term plan. We're putting together a little bit of a plan for some new equipment. Jamie and Dan have been pulling my heels a little bit about that, and we're putting together so you might see some new equipment going through the winter this year and into next year. So as those things materialize and we can continue to grow, and the biggest thing that we really set out to from an agronomy point of view was to get the quality of the turf up to the level that we could maintain it, keep the grass cut at a certain height, the type of equipment we use based on the quality of the turf, all those different things. I think I had someone talk to me today and ask me about the greens, how come they healed so quick over at Spessard, and it's kind of like we talked about before, conditions, the weather, all the different things that go, and Dan and the guys over there have done a tremendous job getting it ready to go, and we've already started lowering the height, so you're going to see the green speed pick up quite a bit over there, and especially with those undulating greens, as you know, as much as you played over there, you get a little bit dicey and you can putt it right off the green.
I've never done that.
Wow. potentially this winter you might, you never know. One other thing we are going to do at Spessart, we kind of contemplated whether or not we were going to overseed the tee boxes again this year. So we are going to lightly overseed with the ryegrass sometime in the November range, depending on, again, weather conditions. Just a light dusting so that we can keep the color up. That's, again, when you run into the summertime and the transition of the Bermuda, if you put it on too heavy, you can see what happened this past summer. We lost some turf, and we don't want to do that. But also the fertigation system, we're going to spend a little bit of money on having the ability to send out the liquid fertilizer during the wintertime with Sodex that will help wash out some of the salt intrusion that we get from the ocean over there. And that is going to make a big transition in our turf quality over there. So just, we could probably talk all night about the different things that we want to do and we are going to do. And it's just in a time frame and a level that we're comfortable with. And like you said earlier, Steve, what our priorities are and when they're available to do. So staff, I know Mark and Greg and Gary are still here. Any thoughts or any more things that we should probably share with anyone? Nothing at the moment. Our rates for the winter will be coming out soon. By the 1st of October, we'll have the winter rates. As of right now, they're going to be very similar as they were this past year. Again, keeping the golf affordable. They're not going to be going up $4 or $5 like some folks have asked me, and they're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So that's been part of our, like you said earlier, that's just part of what we want to try to create and keep the golf affordable, make the playing conditions better, and continue to have your support, and we appreciate that. Caleb, anything else? Boy, this has been easy tonight. One question, and you and I talking the whole time. But again, the Folds of Honor event, November 7th at Spessart. You can get your ticket, come over to Habitat and buy a ticket, and/or at Spessart. We do have some charity events coming up. We are continuing to do what we need to do with our social distancing, the pro shop, the staff that has continued to come out and come to work every day, and they've been fantastic. And obviously, we wouldn't be able to be here today if it wasn't for the staff continuing to support and do what we've been doing. From all of us and everyone at Brevard and the two properties, thank you again. Steve, any final words or thoughts?
Just thank you for your support. Look forward to a bright future, and we'll be in touch with you again next year at the same time.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll see you soon. Thank you.